Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre and Brandon. Back with the gang for episode 107. Got Chad, Nick, Travis, Kai, and then Jose's running around somewhere. He might join us. How you guys doing?
Feels like we're doing this on a Monday.
It feels like so Monday-ish. It's the most Monday Tuesday ever.
Absolutely.
And then the end of the month is on a Wednesday.
Weird.
I hate it.
I hate it. How was your weekend, Chad?
It was good. Got a lot of sun.
I could tell.
Sore. Got a lot done.
You look sun-dried.
Yeah, I don't put on sunscreen, I guess.
I could tell.
Yup.
You look very tan, though.
Thank you. It was
Yeah.
free.
Free
I
tan.
didn't have to pay anybody for this one.
Free 99. Cool. What about you, Nick? Anything fun?
It was a really busy weekend, actually. Man, Friday we went to a retirement party for a cop friend of ours that retired.
I'd like to be called police.
Well, whatever.
I saw that badge thing you gave her. That was
Yeah.
pretty nice.
That was pretty sweet.
Created on a ShopSabre, for the record.
It was.
I think it was sweet.
Um,
Shout out to who? Do we know who made it?
yeah, a dude in Texas. Barbecue somebody or other.
Nice. Way to
I'll
go.
have to think that up. I don't remember who it was.
And finished by Ricky and Sons. I know
Yeah,
that,
he
right?
put a nice clear coat on it for me. That was cool.
That was cool. ShopSabre customers, both of them.
Both of them.
Helped us out.
Got to support them people, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. What'd you do on Saturday?
Saturday, what did we do Saturday morning? I did some. Oh, I had a photo gig downtown Saturday morning. Went to the races Saturday night. Saw our welding guy Billy Moen take the checkered flag down. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know he even raced until I heard him say his name, and then I'm like, wait, is that our Billy? So I did some research and found out it was, and then he came out and won the feature. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, Billy's a really good race car driver. It's asphalt that he went to, so he didn't get to watch me race. But
Yeah.
he went to asphalt. It was what, Eva Destruction, right?
Yeah, it was fun. They did a lot of cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
The kids loved it.
Did they have the monster trucks there?
They did. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. They do some cool stuff for the kids there. and they-
I think little Drew would like the drifters more than anything.
oh yeah, for sure.
See that Fast
like
and Furious
Fast and Furious
Yeah,
stuff,
it was
yeah.
crazy. It was really cool.
They're really. I mean, you gotta give them credit. They got a lot of car control. It's some pretty cool
It
stuff.
It was fun. Then Sunday was pretty low key until my mom decided to crash her bike and wrecked her face a little bit, but that's fine. She's good. No worse for the
jeez.
wear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was something. She ended up going to the hospital in the ambulance, and
A pedal bike or a motorbike?
she's got one of those e-bike things that you can kind of pedal and drive at the same time.
Gotcha.
So her and all of her retired friends go cruise around town on them, and now she said she's selling it. So
Oh, no.
You can't do that. Didn't they say we gotta get back on the
Just
bike
get
after you
back
fall
on it.
off?
That's
right?
what I thought. That's what I tried telling her,
Yeah.
among other things, but
That's cool.
we won't talk about those in here. And then yesterday was just kind of low key. Made some ribs for Stella for dinner and hung out at home.
Nice. Travis, you also got sun.
Yeah, a little
Sun
bit.
dried.
Spent a lot of time outside.
No?
Saturday
Same
morning,
joke twice?
or I shouldn't say we. I shoveled out over a ton of sand.
A
Got
ton?
yeah.
1 ton?
Yep. I found
Nice.
out that just over a yard is
How,
one
how
ton.
come you were shoveling so much sand?
Last year, I didn't put the pool up, and it all got washed away. So
It's very nice.
So your pool is no longer there?
it was not there, and now it is there.
It's back?
Yeah.
We're
that's-
back.
so
I heard you went
shoveled
fishing
out
this
all
weekend,
that.
though.
Oh,
I heard
yeah.
the fishing stories.
Yeah, got some muskies. I was fishing for pike, for the record. Muskie's not open.
Oh, is that why?
But it's a big muskie lake, so there's a lot of them. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it was awesome. Biggest one I ever caught. I think it was like 36 inches. And
Nice.
don't know what it weighed, but probably around 10 pounds if I had to take a guess. Maybe a
Sweet.
little more.
Your boy went with you, right?
Yeah, him and Brooke both had a blast. Panfish was on fire, so it was just me taking fish off the hook all day and putting worms back on.
I just pictured those fish in Mario that fly through the air on fire. That's all I pictured. That's cool, though. Looks like you guys had a good time, right?
Absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah, we what did we do? We went racing Friday. I almost won a race on Friday. Lost by a half a lap because my car died while
Oh, no.
leading. So that was cool. Yeah, we were leading the race and somebody got into us trying to make a aggressive move. Let's put it that way. And when he hit us so hard he knocked the fuel line right off the car and
Oh,
the car died, and yeah, I didn't make it to the finish line. So we didn't win Friday. That was a rough deal. We had some friends with us that had never been to the races, their kids, and they were all having a blast. So it would have been really cool to win it with all of them there. But came up a half lap short, so we got to show them how tough life is sometimes. And then Saturday we ended up winning. So we ended up winning the race on Saturday. Had all of our family there, so that was a good time. And then the rest of the weekend we kind of took it easy. We didn't do a lot. We did some cooking and went out with some friends for dinner, and we played bingo. Took my wife to bingo.
Nice.
I got shushed by an old lady. She was not happy with me for talking. They take that stuff serious, man.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
The only time I'd ever been to bingo was at like Cosmic Bingo, you know, the like nighttime loud and rowdy. And yeah, we went to regular bingo.
That's why I sent you that message and said yell out bingo and see how that goes for
Dude,
you.
I didn't have to yell at bingo. I just was talking and I got yelled at.
Was it at Mystic?
No, it was at Hinckley.
I've done it at Mystic and it was terrible. I'll never do bingo again.
Cosmic Bingo's fun. Regular bingo, not so much. It was terrible. But yeah, we went up there, spent some time with our friends, and yeah, just took it easy. Got to hang out around the house, did some yard work yesterday. But yeah, it was pretty low key. Good news. It's 1 year anniversary of me ending up in a fence.
Nice.
And I didn't end up in a fence this year. So my wife informed me of that after I got out of the race car. She said, "Hey, do you know what tonight was?" I said, "No." She said, 1 year from when you parked it in the fence. And I was like, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" She's like, "I didn't want you to one-up it."
I thought it seems like you'd been racing for longer into the season.
That's what
than
I
it
thought,
happened.
but nope, it was 1 year. And then I of course thought she was wrong, so I had to fact check her, and she was right. 1 year. Yep, that's why I was able to get my car done, because I was trying to figure out how I got so much done in such a little time, because we had Monday off the day after I wrecked, so I could spend the whole day working on the car. Checks out.
Checks out.
But like, I don't know why she didn't tell me sooner. It's like she thought I was gonna one up it. Like, yeah, I want to just see if I can get higher next time. Like, no, I didn't want to do that.
Probably didn't want it in your head.
I don't know. I would have. I still didn't finish. I mean, I still had a fuel line fall off.
Right.
Not like it changed anything. Just didn't have to fix as much this year. But yeah, that was my exciting weekend. What did we talk about last week? Do you guys remember? Nobody remembers?
Who you've become.
That's right. It was who you've become. That's right.
That's impressive.
That was good. I forgot
no idea.
after. Yeah, I
Couldn't
forgot
even
after.
think of
I was like, man, what did we talk about last week?
I was trying to give one of these other guys a chance to answer.
They all had a look of fear on their face. They were not sure what to say. But yeah, this week I want to talk about a little bit more industry specific topic. We get a lot of questions about our dust collection, and specifically the dust dock. And I thought today might be a good opportunity for us to kick the week off with understanding the dust dock and kind of go through the facts, if you will. I just think it's more ShopSabre specific this week, kind of a specific call to action on this one, the dust dock. And, dust collection in general, I think with any CNC, machine is important to consider, because you're going to create some dust and a mess. And obviously collecting it is all part of it. And, we've got some friends of ours that have built their own dust collection stuff, and we work with them. And, Frost CNC, I'll give them a shout out. Obviously Nick has come up with his own solution as well, and his stuff works too. And, I think there's a lot of misconception out there that, it's dust dock versus the Frost solution. And, I think that's just something that we could clear the air on a little bit and talk a little bit about, because I think there's room in the world for both options, and depending on what your needs are, both options have their own advantages. Do you guys kind of agree with that?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
We've been selling dust dock now for what? I don't know, probably 5 years now, 4 years. And, it's for some reason, just recently we've heard banter about the dust dock. And it seems like it's a small group of people, but they create big waves about it. They're talking about, one thing that I kind of chuckle about is people talk about the time it takes away from cutting. However, I think it's worth discussing it, because I think some people are just overreacting about that. Do you guys agree, disagree? What's your guys' thoughts about the time it takes away from your cutting the dust dock?
I think that whole exchange only takes a couple seconds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's insanely quick.
About 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah. It's about 10 seconds roughly, which, like you said, it's not that long, all things considered. And when you consider the performance of the dust dock, I think that's where the trade-off really is, being honest, most customers feel like they're running their machines harder than they ever are. We hear a lot of people who talk about how busy they really are, and then you look at like what they're actually the cut speeds they're cutting at, and it's like, you can go faster, right? You could turn that up, and you actually have to encourage people to push their machines harder. Like, they don't, like, whether it's fear that they don't want to go that fast, or just they don't need to go that fast. I think that they're actually giving up more time elsewhere in their business than they are in docking the dust skirt, in my personal and my professional opinion. After talking to a lot of shops, especially when you consider, some of the other dust collection options that you would go with traditionally on a normal machine, not ShopSabre related, but just our competitors' machines and some of the stuff that they use for dust collection, the mess that some of those leave behind, the time you spend cleaning makes up for any amount of time that docking system is doing its thing. I mean, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. I remember doing the videos and having to clean up after Bob, having the dust dock versus not having it. And
Yeah.
when we used the dust dock, our cleaning time went down tremendously.
It's funny you say that because I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, it was like,
Or like demo days when all the
Yeah.
customers were here, but we were responsible for like Bob wasn't going to clean the machine in between sheets. So like I'm sitting here like we're going to spend all day vacuuming today,
yeah.
but not with the dust dock.
But that's the truth. Yeah, I was just gonna say I forgot all about that we used to sit there and clean up after every single cut because, like you said, Bob wasn't gonna do it. He was on camera talking and doing his thing and preparing for the next thing, and so we had to get things cleaned up and ready. And especially some of these videos, you run the same project 3 or 4 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because obviously it's so you can get different camera angles and things like that. So we'd cut it all just to have to clean it all back up so we can run it again to get a different camera angle.
And then I have to clean it up at the very end because we weren't going to let the shop guys come into
Correct.
a dirty floor.
Yeah, mind you, we're doing this at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And so then, yeah, the guys are going to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. And the last thing they want to do at 6 or 7 in the morning is clean up after you, right? So we have to clean up the mess too. And so, yeah, you think about the amount of time spent doing that. And then we, and honestly, Chris came out with, my brother Chris came out with the dust dock because he just got tired of exactly what you talked about. They cut all the tabletops for our machines with the machines. And all day long, obviously, machines are running. The last thing that he wants to do is be cleaning up after the machines all day long. And so when he realized that he was spending a lot of time cleaning is when he, tried to develop a solution that works with sheet processing. And I think that's the key here. I think that we got to talk about is what was the dust dock invented for? And I think let's start there. Is the dust dock is not a for everyone on everything solution. It is for sheet processing. Simple as that. It's not designed for 3D. It's not designed for people doing, various depths of cutting. It's you set the depth and you cut, right? You're doing sheet processing. Traditionally, this was developed for somebody that's doing things like cabinetry, where they're going to cut shapes and parts out all day long, full depth cuts, dados, things like that, where you're going to set your tooling and therefore you don't need something that adjusts because that's the one thing we hear is, we need to be able to adjust it. Like that's not the design of the dust dock. It's not meant to be adjusted there. It's meant to be set it and go. And you set all your tools to the dust skirt's length. And the other thing is they make different cones in different lengths. And, we have 50s, 75s, 100s, and then you can buy special order other ones, different sizes. We don't sell them. But buying the right length tool holder is part of the process. The dust dock is only part of the equation. And we try to include what's, pretty standard with those, but you still have to invest on your end a little bit of money in the right tooling. And whether it's the length of the bits that you're buying with the cutting edge, or whether it's the length of the tool holder so the cutting edge actually is positioned correctly in the skirt, those are things that you really got to take into consideration because, I believe for most customers, they're not running the machines all day, every day. And therefore, 10 seconds on docking your skirt truly isn't hurting their business. What's hurting their business is everything else they're doing. And then they're making the finger pointing happen towards the dust dock because it's the easy answer, right? Well, look, I'm waiting on that dust dock. Yeah, but if your machine was cutting 45 inches a minute faster, you make up all that time, right? I've seen customers, state the dust dock's not working. However, then you look at it and it's improper use of the dust dock even. Like we were just talking about, the tooling length. They have the bit sticking way too far out, or they have it way too far up in there and they're smashing the crap out of that dust skirt. I mean, how many times have you guys seen that where people just smash the hell out of it?
Oh, yeah.
And when it's used correctly, I'm willing to bet, and I guess I want your guys' feedback on what you've seen, but when used correctly, the dust dock is the best performing solution on the market to date.
By far.
I agree with that for sure.
I'd put my team up against any team when it comes to properly operated dust skirts. Like our system works extremely well, and it's one of the cleanest CNC machines out there when you're using it correctly. I would say it's 90%.
Maybe even better.
Yeah, I think it could be better, but here's why I don't say that is because certain materials and certain bits at certain speeds, there's just nothing you're going to do. You're going to create a mess. Like there's just certain things that you do when you're moving in a certain direction or performing a certain action. Nothing's perfect. There's no way to clean it all up. So there's still CNC machines. They're still going to create some dust. But I would be willing to bet that on a normal application, you're going to save 90% of dust collection. You're going to have a 90% capture rate.
I agree with that.
And I think the big thing is, like I said, setting the tool height. When you think about that, what's your guys' opinion on the complaints you see about tool height and brush length? What are you guys seeing?
I see that people don't ask enough questions if they don't know. And obviously if you're using a 2-inch long bit versus a 4-inch long bit, the setup of it's going to be different. If you're unsure, you should call our tech support team.
Most customers don't realize that there's different length tool holders and when it makes sense to utilize them. So like Chad said, if you've got a really long bit, you're probably going to use a shorter tool holder. If you got a much shorter bit, you're going to use a longer tool holder, and then you're going to get those bristles right where they need to be, and it's going to get optimal collection.
And that, and that's the biggest thing is I think that's where we have to do a better job as a company to educate people on and that's where this episode comes from today, is educate people on the fact that there are different tool holders out there and tool lengths, right? Because if you don't know, think about how many people buy a machine, they don't know anything other than what we've sent them, right? We send them a dust stock and we send them some tool holders and they just assume that's what they need. But I guess we got to do a better job, and that's where I want to talk about that, is that it's just educating people and helping people understand that there is a right and wrong way of still using a tool, right? And part of that dust stock is getting that tool length where it needs to be so that the bristles are just compressing slightly on the material, not smashing the hell out of it and causing it to want to fall off, right?
Yep.
And, I feel a lot of people don't want to put in a little work, on the front end to set up their tools. For one, no two shops are the same. And I think that's one thing people forget, is that it's not easy for ShopSabre just to tell you this is what you need, because no two shops are the same. Depending on what length bits you're buying, what you're buying for, the material thickness is. There's so many variables in there because all of that adds into how you're setting your zeros. And there's not a one size fits all, especially for a ShopSabre. When you consider us as a company, we can't set one dust skirt that does everything, because if a guy's a sign maker or 3D or does fourth access stuff, like it's a completely different world.
Yep.
There's certain options that just don't work with certain things. An example is when you get into fourth access cutting, it's really hard to make a dust collection work when you're hovering in the air. Obviously suction is only as strong as, what you can create. And therefore, if there's no bottom, you're not creating suction. It's just vacuuming in the air, essentially. You're trying to grab as much as you can. But you still have to buy bits, and you have to buy tool holders based on your needs. And then, you have to properly pair all that with the right tool holders to ensure that the brush is, like I said, not getting destroyed. And some of this even comes down to making sure you have the right dust collector. Yep. How many times do you see people complain about the dust skirts on machines, and then you see the collector they're running, and you're like, well, I don't think there's any skirt out there that's going to work good enough for the collector you're running. Shop vacs, yeah, they pull up dust, but are they really probably the best solution for a machine that's going 2,000 inches a minute?
No.
Probably not.
I've seen that a lot of times too, where a customer would send me a picture. I just say, hey, if you're questioning what you have as a dust collector, send me the model of it. And a lot of times they're these, 2 horsepower single bag, maybe you could get away with it on a little desktop machine, but when you're talking a full production machine, you definitely need something to step it up. I think we usually will always recommend about 1,500 CFM or more is what we usually tell customers.
Yeah, and that's exactly, like, you have to consider, it's not just CFM though too, right? It's static pressure.
Yep.
Making sure that you have enough pressure in the line too. It's not just about the volume you're moving. And a lot of times, like we were talking about this week, Chad, when we talked about the Oneida dust collectors, right? Like a lot of people buy the V series, the V system, and they have tremendous success with it, right?
Yep.
But they actually even make one upgraded from that called the Smart Boost, correct?
Correct.
And go ahead and explain it, Chad. I know you know quite a bit about these systems. As far as the Smart Boost advantage, when people buy the Smart Boost, what are they buying it for?
It gives you better pressure through smaller diameter tubing.
So
with
basically,
like 4-inch tubes.
Yeah, so basically when you choke it down, right, to a machine.
Correct.
Because if you can run a 6-inch hose from the collector all the way back to the machine, you're probably not going to need to worry about the Smart Boost.
Correct, because you need more flow.
Yeah, but when you get down in, like you said, people start running the smaller dust skirts, and obviously a lot of machines are 4-inch. That's a common size for CNC. Well, when you get into 4-inch hose, Smart Boost collectors will increase that static pressure at the machine and therefore pick up better debris. More debris. Better? More. Yes. Yes.
If you get more, it's better though. So it both works.
So more better. We'll go with more better. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where, it's a whole calculation that you have to put into this thing. It's not just like throw things at it and hope it works, right? I kind of relate it back to like cooling systems on race cars. I think it's funny when you see guys who are always fighting overheating issues on the race cars, and then you ask them questions like, how big is the fan on your car? I don't know. Well, what kind of fan is it? I don't know. What's the pitch of the fan? I don't know. What pulleys do you have on the motor? I don't know. What radiator? What thermostat? And you start, like, I can literally on my race car tell you all of those things because I've done the calculations to make sure that I'm getting the maximum cooling to my motor, which is also why I don't deal with a lot of overheating issues because I make sure I do the calculations. Well, I think the same could be said in a shop environment where people are having dust collection problems. It's, well, what size tube do you have? What size collector do you have? What's the static pressure? What's the CFM? What's the run length? And you start adding all these things up and suddenly they don't know the answers to them. And if they don't know the answers to them, do they really have their shop set up probably the most efficiently?
Probably not.
Yeah, so it's hard to complain about the dust skirt when you haven't even put the time into the rest of the system. And, I was talking with Oneida because we do a lot of business with Oneida. And Oneida is really, really intelligent. And they're like, yeah, you know how many people don't even pick the phone up and call us? Like, you can call them and they'll literally help you figure out what you need, and they'll sell you everything you need. They'll sell you the proper tube sizes. They'll send, the blast gates. They'll sell you whatever you need to complete your system. But a lot of people don't even give them the chance to.
So they say people just buy them online and don't ask questions?
Yeah. They just go buy the piping. They assume they know what they need, and a lot of times they'll buy the collectors even with the assumption they know what they need. And then they end up with something that's not working properly.
I think Oneida will, or maybe it's Sea Air, will design like the room.
Yep,
your
Oneida.
room and- is it-
Oneida.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Tell
Yeah,
exactly what you need. And
That's exactly what he's talking about. He's like, we literally offer this service, and he's like, and people don't even call us.
Every time I call our rep over there, he's very knowledgeable and very helpful. So I encourage people to call them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then obviously once you get all that set up, then it's the proper use of your dust dock or your dust skirt, right? And it'd be, make sure those brushes are just on the surface of the material, which then creates somewhat of a seal, right? And ideally, you want to have some downward pressure on that skirt. You want it to bow out a little bit. I always tell people, a 1/4 inch to 3/8 bow is ideal on the brushes. And if the brushes are smashed, if they're completely destroyed, they're going to get destroyed over time, right? And at that point, you're going to end up having a lot of leakage or a dust skirt that just doesn't work or gets stuck around the bits. And, you have all kinds of problems. So you have to adjust your tooling, your tool holder to make sure that's not happening. And then the other side of it is dust skirts aren't a forever thing. You don't set it and forget it, right? You got to adjust according to what you're using for tools, but you also have to replace brushes. The lower unit on a dust skirt comes off for a reason. It's meant to be replaced. It's a consumable. Over time, as those brushes and those bristles get smashed, you replace it. That's why we sell that part. It's meant to be a replaced part because the bits are going to, it's going to get caught on stuff. It's going to get caught on a clamp. It's going to get caught on a, edge of a material. It's going to get caught on your tooling once in a while, and it's going to eventually deform that a little bit. And when it starts to happen, you're going to need to replace it. And, some things that to take into consideration is we have magnets on the backside of it. And I see people take them off, and they don't stick them to the machine, but they lay them on the brush, just laying on the table. And they go 2 or 3 days and then they go to grab it and they put it back in the machine. And now it's got it's got memory. It's figured out. It's been sitting in that same position and it wrecked the brushes. You need to replace that skirt now. That skirt's junk. Like when you've done that, it's now worn out because that memory doesn't come out of it. It's not something that's going to forget. So you've now deformed the skirt and therefore the skirt doesn't perform the same as it would have. So it's making sure that even when you're taking the dust skirt off and you're not using it, that you're putting it away properly and you're storing it properly so you don't end up destroying it and then having dust collection problems. And I think that's a big part of it, because for me, the dust dock is a time saver. It saves you a ton of time. And even if it costs you 10 seconds to do the actual change, you're saving so much time elsewhere in your shop that I think you have to take that in consideration. What I hear, where I hear it from people is I'm wasting time when it docks, right? That's the one complaint I hear about it. And I always ask them, are you really though? Does your machine run all day, every day? If you don't say yes to that question, you're not losing time over that dust skirt. because you have all day long to run machines, right? If you're not running it nonstop the entire time you're in the shop, you're probably not losing money off the dust skirt. And, I always laugh because I ask people, do you take a lunch break? Because if you're having to skip lunch to run your machine because of the dust stock, then yes, you're probably losing some time, right? But my guess is you're probably not skipping lunch every day, and you're probably not running in a situation where that machine is running so on the ragged edge that dust stock is costing you business. I'm guessing there's other things in your shop probably costing you more time.
Right.
Especially if you add up 10 seconds at a time. If
Yeah.
there's 3 tool changes in a sheet, it's 30 seconds a sheet, which is like,
Yeah.
you do 30 sheets a day is 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, not very much time at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not. But, my question also is, do you run the machine before anything else in the morning? If you come in the shop and the first thing you do is turn the machine on versus the last thing you do is turn the machine on? How many shops do you think turn the machine on the last?
Very few.
Last?
Oh, probably a lot.
Yeah. I bet very few of them come in the morning and the first thing they do is fire the machine up.
Right.
I bet the machine's the last thing to get fired up in a lot of shops.
And you think about the amount of cleanup time you would have with a standard skirt.
That was my next question, is that at the end of the day, if you don't have that dust skirt, how much time are you going to spend cleaning your shop?
Over 15 minutes.
Way more than that, about 9 minutes.
Me and Chad know firsthand. We've done it.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. It will take you more than 15 minutes to truly clean up around that machine and do what you need. And you think about the preventative maintenance alone.
Yep.
Having to clean the machine so you don't have too much dust and debris on the bearings and things like that. Because obviously the bearings have wipers and they do all this, but if the dust collection's not working to the point of where it should be, you're gonna have to clean the machine more frequently because you don't want to pack your bearings full of debris.
Yep.
So it's a long-term effect, right? It's not just about the time you save today. Yeah, it might cost you 10 minutes today, but it saves you an hour down the road of having to put new bearings on your machine. It saves you so much more time of having to deal with, cleaning up at the end of every single business day. How much better does your shop look
Right.
when somebody walks in if it's got a good dust collection system? Like, I just think about all those things. And, if you're not going to do those things, then likely the tool change isn't costing you business. Like, I'm just going to be honest. And, if you remove the dust shroud and use a less capable solution, which there are other solutions out there, it creates a mess, and you're going to really save what? 10 seconds per tool change, maybe 10 minutes a day, but now you're going to spend an hour cleaning.
Right.
Like I said, there's some good ones out there. There's some good options out there. I know the Frost CNC makes a pretty good option. His system works pretty well. Obviously, he doesn't have to dock, but it's still got its disadvantages. It's just the nature of the science. There's certain geometries when you're moving in certain directions and doing certain moves that the larger dust skirts can't keep up with. Again, it's all about suction. So on the edges of sheets where the skirt hangs over the edges of the table, there's going to be certain restrictions. But with the dust stock, we've done a really good job at minimizing all of those, forcing the air to the tool at all times. It's something that we've spent a lot of time doing. And I'm not going to say that there isn't a better solution out there, because there are some good solutions out there. But I don't think there's a more affordable and competitive solution. I think what the dust stock costs and the performance it gives you is significant.
For sure.
Especially because it works with a lot of the options we have. Think about things like a knife, right? You can have a knife on our machine. So you have to take that into consideration as well. Adding custom dust skirts and dust, collection systems also have to be compatible with all the other options that we sell.
Yep.
Some people, they kind of look at it like the only thing we sell to is cabinetry makers, It's like, yeah, that's one portion of our business. So I can't build a whole machine around just cabinet makers, because what about the sign guys? What about all these other things? So that's why the dust stock is an option, right? Because the dust stock doesn't work with everybody. We don't sell it on every machine, do we, guys?
No.
Nope.
Like, it's only on a portion of the sales that we make is the dust stock, and it's because those are sheet processing applications.
It can be added to machines.
Yeah, exactly. It can be added to. I mean, guys who didn't buy it, who realized they should have bought it, can add it on at any time.
That's when I first started. I think it was right after you guys came out with it, and everybody was adding it to their machines.
Yeah.
We were getting phone call after phone call.
Well, that's what I think about, because before the dust stock, dust collection was so bad, but people just accepted it.
And now that's gotten better. People are getting more picky.
Yeah, like now that they've seen it now they nitpick the little things about the dust stock, and it's like we could go back to the way it used to be. It was a disaster.
Right.
And I think that's what's funny is there's some of these other companies out here who have kind of circled back around and basically used technology we were all using 10 years ago. Like you're starting to see the adjustable dust skirts come back again. And like that was a thing we did 10 years ago. But the reason everybody stopped doing it was because over time those cylinders fail and things happen where things jam from the debris and it ends up actually costing people more downtime because now you have parts that are failing and maintenance and things that they didn't want to deal with. That's how we got away from that stuff.
And it's probably more costly because of all the other components.
Correct.
The dust stock is simple.
Yeah, there's not a lot of moving components to it.
Yep.
I mean, it's a pretty maintenance-free system when you consider it.
Well, it sounds like the positives to it far outweigh the negatives that you can.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I mean, so a few seconds to change.
We have
a
way
tool
more
changer.
customers that have compliments on it versus, and then they'll usually say the same thing we're talking about. They don't have it adjusted properly. Once it's adjusted properly, everybody wants it.
Yeah, I'd say when the dust stock is properly set up, it saves you time and money. Like, no doubt about it. I don't think there's even a debate on that.
Nope.
Are there other solutions out there? Absolutely. But I think when we're sitting here talking, like, what do we sell? ShopSabre sells the dust stock because of its performance and capabilities. Now, I'm not saying that we aren't going to have other solutions available for you, because we do. We sell other dust skirts right now for different applications. And in fact, we have some cool things coming up here in the very near future that will, help people who don't benefit from the dust stock. But that doesn't mean the dust stock's going away. I'll say that for a fact. Like that dust stock it's here to stay. It's got a lot of capabilities that are necessary for shops that don't want to spend a bunch of time and a bunch of money cleaning up after themselves. If you have to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the dust stock's probably not going to be your fastest dust skirt out there, right? But then you need to consider, are you going to hire somebody to clean up after the machine? Because that is your option. There's no dust skirt out there that's going to give you 100% collection at all.
Right.
So I think when you think about what we've done at ShopSabre, I think in some way, we've kind of changed the industry. We've done some stuff with this dust collection thing that's forced competitors, forced shops to start thinking better about dust collection.
I've noticed people changing.
ShopSabre.com.
I was going to say, I've noticed people changing their dust skirts after that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had other people that run other machines that buy our machines. They're like, I need my other machine to clean as good as this one. How?
I know.
How
I
do
hear that a
make
lot
it
too.
happen?
That's my favorite is when people call us up and ask if they can buy the dust stock for their competitor machine. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, we don't build it for that. Sorry. But it's funny though, because when you've never experienced somebody else's machine or dust collection, it's easy to pick apart the things that you've seen, right? But you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know how bad it can really be until you've seen some of the dust collections out there that they just don't work. And granted, there's some people that have come to us and say, hey, we want to take the dust stock off and we want to put this, other dust skirt on there. And that's fine too. Like we're never going to stop you from doing that. But, you just have to take into consideration our support only extends to things that we've designed and obviously things that we test. And we're not saying that what you're putting on there is going to cause your machine to fail. And it's going to be, we just want you to be aware that like, should something happen, it's not going to be a ShopSabre responsibility.
Right, you crash it because the skirt's not the same depth or,
Correct.
Yeah,
there's so many variables. Yeah,
Yep.
Anytime you change, it's just like your truck, right? Chad, you and I worked in the car industry. When somebody goes in and programs their vehicle,
Voids the warranty.
yeah, and it doesn't void the warranty because we want to be jerks about it. It voids the warranty because we don't know what adverse effects that programming had on the vehicle, right?
Correct.
And so it's the same thing with your CNC machine. When you go in and modify the programming, assuming you've done it correctly, it probably is not going to cause any issues, and you're probably going to never have an issue, right?
Probably.
But yeah, the concern is that the one person puts the wrong thing in the wrong place, and now you have all kinds of problems, right?
Yep.
Or people remove things from the ShopSabre, which we've spent time and money installing, labor, all of that, programming it. They take it off. They go run this other alternative solution for however long, and then decide they want to go back. It's not free for our guys to program it all back, right? So it's one of those things where that's where we say it. Like, yeah, it's going to cost you money. Like, we'll help you get back there, but there is a cost associated with that. And that's why we always try to warn people up front. Just think about what you're doing before you do it, especially on new machines. If you have a warranty still on your machine, it's just like, a pickup truck. don't delete your pickup truck until, you're out of warranty. Because should something go wrong, the last thing you want is a decision to buy something that you didn't have to have,
Yep.
costs you a bunch of money down the road, right? It's the same thing I say about CNC machines. Like, I didn't delete my pickup truck because I knew that I wanted the engine warranty and the transmission warranty. Same goes for your dust collection on your CNC machine. Don't start changing it all when your machine's brand spanking new, because you don't want to have spindle problems. You don't want to have bearing problems. That's just my 2 cents on that. I don't know what you guys think about that, but as far as the dust stock goes, like I said, it's a sensitive topic as of lately, I feel like. And I would say there's more people bragging about the dust stock than ever before on any other direction. But I would say that there is some discussions and some concerns out there with people wondering, is the dust stock costing them time? And I think the easy answer is no. I don't think it's costing you any time that you weren't going to spend in your shop doing something already. I mean, what's your guys' experience? You guys talk to customers every day. How many shops, I mean, when you look at shops as far as production rates, what are you guys seeing from a production rate or, usage in their shops on these CNC machines? What's the typical day look like?
As far as how many sheets they run?
Sheets, I mean, timing. What are you seeing from the usage of their CNC machines?
It's kind of all over the place, but like I can only talk about the few from today since I just had these conversations. First customer told me that they're pretty busy. And so I said, well, it's pretty busy to you. And he says, I'm doing about 10 hours a week.
Of cutting.
Okay. And so he was telling me that he thinks that in that 10 hours, he's probably going to try to cut anywhere from 20 to 30 sheets for the full week. That's busy to him.
Gotcha.
But then you'll get the next customer that runs a 9-hour day, and that customer is going to try to knock out 30 sheets that day. That's getting busier.
Okay.
But I mean, it's all over the board.
So, I mean, but that's a good point there. The one customer tells you that he's busy, and it's 10 hours of cutting a week.
Yep.
But obviously, let's look at this now. 10 hours of cutting by hand, though.
Correct.
It's a lot of work.
So it
And
is.
that's hustling, right?
Yep.
What about when you start looking at, outsourcing it? Again, that's a lot of money.
Yep.
When you break it down to 10 hours of cut time, you're paying a few $1,000s to customers, or to your vendor, right? It seems like you got a lot. You're staying pretty busy, but people don't realize, I think, until they get the CNC in there and they get it efficient, how much more they can really do.
Correct.
I agree.
I mean, Sean Morley is one that I kind of always bounce the stuff off of because he's a very busy cabinet shop. Let's put it that way. He works basically 7 days a week, and he could pretty much run his machine all day, every day, he said. And he has the dust stock on his machine. And he's openly said that. He's like, I would buy a second machine to run in tandem with my current machine before I would ever take off the dust stock. He said, because the amount of time the dust stock has saved me in picking up material or debris has far outweighed any amount of time I've given up in changing it. And I think that says a lot. Like, it's smarter to add more, again, like he even joked around. He's like, I could add a drill head to my machine and save a lot of time drilling holes versus changing tools before I would ever remove the dust stock. And that's the good point, is like, you have a tool changer in your machine, and if you're so strapped for time that the dust stock is hurting you, are you changing tools to drill holes? If the answer is yes, then maybe grab a drill bit or a drill head, right? Put a drill head on your machine, and then now you have a drill head with the tool changer. Now you don't have to change tools,
Yep.
right? So you cut the tool changer out entirely, and you keep all the dust collection in place.
It's a win-win.
Wins. But yeah, you think about it. Like, there's so many options. Again, sheet loading, right? We sell these, the sheet loaders, right? The Schmalz loaders.
Yep.
The lifters. How many people could benefit from having a Schmalz lifter in their shop versus cutting their dust collection?
Probably a ton of people. That thing was slick on how well it worked and
Yeah.
how easy it picked up that phenolic sheet.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk about that. Let's share the story, guys. I mean, obviously, people haven't seen this yet. They haven't seen the videos a whole lot on it yet. But you were talking about the phenolic, Chad.
Yeah, we got the lift here and using it for the first time the other day. I was shocked on how easy it was to use and swing around the sheets of phenolic.
Yeah, and a sheet of phenolic is, not light. Let's put it that way. It's probably close to 150 pounds.
You think that? I think it's more than that.
You think it's more?
I think it's
I'm
more
gonna
than
say 150 pounds. You might say closer to 200.
I would say close to 200.
Nevertheless, you were moving that around by yourself Effortless.
Well, I would have been able to do that without the lip.
Yeah, I know you
Just
would.
kidding. No, but it was insane. Just a little twist of the handle, how it shot that thing right up, wasn't it, Travis?
Well, and I watch a lot of these guys out in our shop when they're moving these sheets. Two guys, I mean, I'm not going to say they're struggling by any means, but it's putting strain on their body. So when we got down there and I got to watch Chad do it, I mean, I could see, obviously, Chad's a bigger guy. He can handle a lot more weight than I could. But watching him pick it up, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to see what this does. And it was effortless. I didn't have to bend over. I didn't have to do anything. I just suctioned the thing, lifted it up with the machine's control, and, I mean, swung it over. It was unbelievable. And about the amount of time you can save as well, I bet, would be huge.
Yeah, I got scared when Travis grabbed it. Anytime Travis grabs something expensive around here, I just get super nervous. I just sit there and to myself, I just think,
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Meanwhile, me and Chad probably did the best. And
Yeah.
then you got Hunter,
Hunter,
who knocked
yeah.
the dust stock right off the machine.
yeah, Hunter got a little crazy. He was full throttle, that's for sure.
Micah
Oh.
came down full force on the table.
All the shop guys laughing at us like
Yeah.
sales guys don't know anything.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But the point of that is like, you think about how much time and energy you guys were able to just show that you could save there, and you guys don't do this all day.
Just imagine if you had two people that had to lift the sheet, not
Correct.
ever needing a second person to load anything.
Or you have to run your forklift around every time. Because, again,
Correct.
no one person's picking up a 200-pound sheet of phenolic. Like, it's just not. You're going to have to position it in a way that you can drag it and slide it. And then you're hoping that you don't scratch the surface. And, there's so many other things to think about. And that's what Sean pointed out about this lifter, is he's like, because he has one in his shop, too. He goes, that lifter alone saves him so much money because they don't damage material anymore. He goes, sometimes, the guys are sliding sheets before and they damage the surface on it, whatever the veneer finish is on it. And he's like, yeah, so you'd throw away a sheet once in a while because of just getting damaged. He goes, now you're just picking it up. You're not sliding anything. You're picking and setting all the time.
Yep.
And he goes, so the material's in better shape, but also it's so much faster because guys aren't taking forever because they don't have to go get the forklift, or they don't have to get another guy to help them, or they're not trying to slide it. And he goes, it just speeds everything up. He goes, a in-shape employee, he said, can change sheets really, really fast. He said, but even an in-shape employee runs out of energy at the end of the day.
Yep.
If they're huffing 40 sheets a day, at the end of the day, that 40th sheet's a lot heavier than that first sheet that they picked up.
And inevitably, it's going to save probably somebody getting hurt or injuring themselves somehow.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's the hope, is to reduce strain on somebody. But again, I'd rather spend my money there to speed up the loading process or the unloading process than I would to remove my dust skirt,
I agree.
For sure.
because it's just safer. I mean, it's safer all around. It's safer for your employees for loading and unloading, but also think about how much safer a clean shop is.
Especially if you've got other equipment. I've got a lot of customers that'll say they have printers and other equipment.
Yep.
And they say even if it is sectioned off in another part of the shop, that dust travels.
Dust goes
so
everywhere.
Everybody, the first thing I always do is I say, have you seen our dust stock? They said, no, what's that? Send them that video, and they're like, put it on my machine. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think, to me, the dust dock, to me, is a no-brainer as well.
For sure.
Like, I don't know. I just can't find any scenario where the dust dock doesn't make sense to me. It just, and I shouldn't say any scenario. I can't find any scenario where a dust dock application
Correct.
doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Not there's certain machines and certain features you just aren't going to sell them a dust dock. But my point is, if the application fits, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have it.
Correct.
Example, I got guys who are cutting MDF doors, and they ask me, should I have a dust dock? Yes. Like, don't even hesitate. Buy it now.
That's the biggest thing I hear customers talk about too, is MDF and how abrasive it gets when you cut it. And once you put one of these dust docks on your machine, even customers that have older equipment, they were calling right away telling us how good it was and wish they would have had an option like that earlier.
And that is how it's done.
Yeah. You just want you want the machine to be taken care of. And to me, the dust dock is one of those things. So, hopefully today, this episode talked a little bit about the benefits of the dust dock, and you start thinking about things that maybe you didn't think about before. I'm not saying that any other solution out there isn't a good solution. Have a good dust collection solution. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's ShopSabre solution or something else. I really don't care. I want you to take care of your machine, and I want you to take care of your shop. But if you need a solution and you don't want to, screw around finding something, ShopSabre sells some really good solutions. And in a lot of the skirts that we sell in general, all the options that we have, they work typically better than most alternative solutions out there.
For sure.
We do our best to try to be number one in all the categories that we're in. And we do our best to make sure that you get the performance out of your machine that we expect. And that's the dust dock topic today. Anybody got anything else left to add that I didn't think about with the dust dock?
You can add the dust dock, dust shoe to manual change spindles.
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to have the docking feature. The docking feature is necessary when using it with an auto tool changer, if you're using the dock skirt. But if you're not going to have a tool changer on it, you could still use the dock skirt without having to buy all the other docking feature because, again, it's what we call the containment skirt.
Yep.
And you get the benefit of having the really good dust collection.
That's a good point, Chad.
I just figured we didn't mention that you could still have that with the manual change.
Manual and auto tool change it works with. And it pretty much works with any one of our spindles. We have it in any of the spindle sizes out there.
It's kind of one of those funny options where you call it the dust dock, but the dock isn't the benefit.
Yeah.
It's the skirt that's the benefit.
It should be called the containment skirt.
The upgraded containment skirt that needs docking.
Yeah, with docking. Upgraded containment skirt with docking.
But I think people sometimes get confused on that. They think
Yeah.
the docking is like what's the benefit of it?
I think that's probably, it's a good point here. That I'm glad you bring that up because I bet that is a lot of it, is that people just assume because it's called the dust dock that we're trying to say the benefit is docking it. That's not the benefit. That's the necessity because of the benefit of the dust skirt.
Yep.
You know, it's what came first, chicken or the egg?
I don't know.
Exactly. Nobody knows. But same with the dust dock. Like it's, one helps the other. They're both necessary together when you're using it with an auto tool changer machine.
Yep.
But we're not saying that the dock is the benefit here. We're not saying the skirt is the only benefit. Like they both have their equal benefit, right? Mm-hmm. And especially in today's world, like I said, with the tool changer upgrades and everything that's advanced, I mean, the industry is going to continue to evolve. And our goal is just to be there with you and help you push forward and be on the leading edge of technology.
Sounds great to me.
Sound good to you? Should we stay there? Next week, I'm not here, guys.
Woo! Just kidding.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, darn, right? You guys going to do a podcast?
All next week?
Pretty much. I'm here Monday. I'm gone.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
I'm gone.
I'm working from home Friday.
No, you're not.
You got Friday last time.
No, you're not.
Bump that tea time to 3 o'clock on Thursday so I can make it.
No, this is not going well. This is going terrible.
I'm going to push my limits, and I'm going to do it on Monday when he's still here.
Where'd Travis go? He just didn't show up. Oh, Travis.
Who wants to see me do a big ass stunt?
Then he just doesn't show up.
We should just do a podcast about what goes on at ShopSabre when Brandon isn't here.
No, I don't want to know that.
We're definitely not bleeping out anything this time, though.
Oh, my God. I can't handle you guys. So next week, are you guys doing a podcast without me?
50-50.
It's 50-50.
60-40.
60-40. We're getting better. I don't know
Depends
if
on
it's
how busy it is.
60% we are or we aren't, but we're 60-40 now.
Travis doesn't know percentages.
Yeah, he's got his shoes off right now.
It's 100%.
He just took his shoes off. I don't know why. He's trying to figure it out.
I've only got 10 fingers. How do I get to 60?
Jesus. Yeah. So next week the gang here might be back with their own episode, but I'll be traveling, so I will not be here. But I will be back the following Tuesday with the next episode. So either 108's happening without me, or it's not. So
Are you going to Disney?
I'm not going to Disney.
Going to Wisconsin Dells?
I'm not going to the Dells. Nothing else.
I don't know. You have kids.
We don't have a snowmobile anymore, so you're definitely not going snowmobiling.
Well, it's the middle of June. I don't think I'm going to snowmobiling regardless,
Are you
Travis.
going to Arizona?
I'm not.
Going to Mexico?
Not going to Mexico.
pretty sure the mountains still have snow. just in
I'm
case
not
you're wondering.
going snowmobiling.
Are you
Travis.
leaving Minnesota?
Yes, I am.
Montana.
Not Montana.
If he was
I would go to Montana.
Texas.
If he's gone for
Not
4
happening.
days in a row, he's definitely leaving Minnesota.
Well, but then you get Friday or Saturday, Sunday, so that's 6. I mean, you could have just taken a staycation somewhere close.
That didn't happen.
Are you flying or driving?
Driving.
You're driving.
Black Hills.
Well, that doesn't really matter.
I was going to say, that doesn't really solve your problem. All you know is I'm staying basically in the continental USA now.
Are you going to have a trailer behind you?
I will.
Okay, well, you're definitely going somewhere racing.
Iowa.
Not Iowa.
Kansas.
Boone.
Not Boone, Iowa.
Oh, Boone's in Iowa. Damn it.
Well, this is going well. So with that, I'm Brandon.
I'm Chad.
I'm Travis.
I'm Nick.
Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.